Alhamdulillah. So we're around midway through, something like this, the proposed course for these sessions on the secrets of speech. And obviously there's been a primary focus on weeding out those things we don't need, what's really ultimately ineffective communication skills, according to the prophetic model. And hopefully we're going to be getting into a few things in forthcoming sessions about how to cultivate that ground and how to deepen our speech, and something looking into the way the Prophet ﷺ would speak and what he would speak about ﷺ. But today we're going to try and get through as much as we can on really one of the most important, almost prominent defects of speech. Something which there's almost not a single conversation other than there may be some form of this foul thing creeping in or lurking in the background or ready to pounce. So it's something which is of absolute importance, and it's something that really we're a person to be able to rid themselves of, and to be on a real fast track to some serious spiritual stations. In Arabic, it's called ghiba, which is translated into the English language typically as backbiting. So in the Arabic word ghiba, we have some understanding or some connotation infused within the word about what it is. Ghaib in Arabic means the unseen. And Imam Ghazali will go on shortly to define the meaning of why it's called ghiba, speaking about a person behind their back, meaning they're in the unseen, when they're not present. And he starts off from the ayah of the Quran, لا يغتب بعضكم بعضا. None of you are to backbite. You're not to backbite each other. Simple, unequivocal, direct command from Rabbil Alameen. Backbiting is absolutely impermissible. Ghiba is haram, absolutely haram. أيحب أحدكم أن يأكل لحم أخيه ميتا فكرهتموه. Would you like that one of you, consider, think about, would you love that one of you eats the flesh of his dead brother? That's how Allah perceives the backbiter. Someone literally as if you're eating the flesh of a dead brother. And Imam Ghazali goes on shortly to expound upon one of the ways to get rid of backbiting is if you look into the mirror, that's who you are to Allah. It's something that's just feasting on the flesh of a dead Muslim. What a foul image. May Allah protect us all. كل المسلم على المسلم حرام دمه وماله وإرضه. So every Muslim to every Muslim is haram, is sanctified, you could say. It's related, the word demahu, his blood, his wealth, and his ird, so his property or his private affairs. It's completely impermissible to delve into that. And that can even, as Imam Ghazali says, he says, al-ghiba tatanawul al-ird. So ghiba, you can go into someone else's private life, someone else's property through, the extension of this foul extension of the tongue. You can enter into a person's life without them even being present through this process of backbiting. If you look at how really harsh, and severe the the condemnation of ghiba is in the Quran and the Sunnah, it should really give us an understanding of how this is something we really need to be taking care of. And I think what can often happen, we have all these strange events and conferences and all this what we can do for the for our ummah, and just learn not to backbite. I think that's a really good start. If every Muslim could make a sincere intention this Ramadan or outside of Ramadan not to backbite, you'll see transformations. Absolutely no doubt. If every Muslim took it upon themselves, what I'm going to do for the sake of Allah, to please the Prophet ﷺ, for the sake of the Ummah. You really care about the Ummah? This is where to begin. It goes. This is a frequent theme within this series. That Imam al-Ghazali, he's not like a self-help book to make people just have a slightly better time in life, but has no real ends. This is it's this train of thought which leads into everything else. He's saying if you really want to rectify everything, you need to start with the heart. You need to start with the nafs, because focusing on anything else which is exterior to the detriment of taking care of the heart is sooner or later it will unravel and it won't work out. مررت ليلة أسري بي على أقوام يخمشون وجوههم بأظافرهم. I passed by a peoples on the night of it on which I was ascended to the heavens, scraping their faces with their long nails. فقلت يا جبريل من هؤلاء? So I said, oh Jibreel, who are these people? قال هؤلاء الذين يغتابون الناس. Those are the people who used to backbite people. ويقعون في أعراضهم, and they used to meddle in people's private affairs. The Prophet ﷺ said, يا معشر من آمن بلسانه ولم يؤمن بقلبه لا تغتابوا المسلمين. The Prophet ﷺ said, O you people that believe with your tongues, your faith is just words. وَلَمْ يُؤْمِن بِقَلْبِهِ, and your heart hasn't yet fully believed. Iman has not entered into your heart. لَا تَغْتَابُ الْمُسْلِمِينَ, don't backbite the Muslims. وَلَا تَتَّبِعُوا أَوْرَاتِهِمْ وَلَا تَتَّبِعُوا أَوْرَاتَهُمْ. Don't follow their private affairs. Don't meddle in people's privacy, in people's property. It can also to do with one's family affairs. Speaking about one's spouse in a foul way, that's completely haram. فَإِنَّهُ, who's saying this once again? This isn't just like a threat. This is, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Prophet, everything he said was haqq. The time the Prophet pointed to his son, he said, Wallahi, ma kharja minha illa al-haqq. Nothing but truth has ever come out of this mouth. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. فَإِنَّهُ مَنْ تَتَّبِعَ عَوْرَةَ أَخِيهِ تَتَبَعَ اللَّهُ عَوْرَةَ. The one that does this to his brother, Allah is going to do it to him. وَمَنْ تَتَبَعَ اللَّهُ عَوْرَةَ يَفْضَحَهُ فِي جَوْفِ بَيْتِهِ. And the one that Allah does this to, He's going to expose him even in the depths of privacy of his own home. So watch out. People think, I'm going to get away with this, and there's no way. Allah will find a way. When you find these things happening, people just become exposed, they lose their kind of, أعوذ بالله. قال الحسن والله للغيبة أسرع في دين الرجل المؤمن من أكلة في الجسد. So he said the ghiba is going to eat up your deen faster than a person can eat. Look at this. This is another frequent theme within this chapter. وقال بعضهم أدركنا السلف وهم لا يرون العبادة في الصوم ولا في الصلاة We met some of these great salaf, these great, the giants, the masters amongst our predecessors. أدركناهم, we caught them, we managed to meet them. وهم لا يرون العبادة في الصوم. And they didn't say worship in fasting or in prayer, meaning the real, litmus test of a person's deen. ولكن في الكف عن أعراض الناس. However, in keeping absolutely quiet and refraining from delving into other people's business, watching their tongues. That's how you know a person's deen. He quotes finally from Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma, إذا أردت أن تذكر عيوب صاحبك فاذكر عيوبك. If you feel the impetus to start to mention, Imam Ghazali will go on to the reasons behind these things. What's the impetus? Once again, Imam Ghazali is really concerned of the psychology of it. Okay, this is wrong, but where does it grow from? Where's it rooted in? And let's cut it at the roots. So he quotes from Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu. If you feel the impetus, you feel the fact, we're just gonna start dissing some people, you catch yourself doing that. He says, فَذْكُرْ عَيُوبَكَ. Instead, mention your own sins, your own faults to yourself. Just remember, you're not perfect. Some of them would even say the capacity to see an ailment in someone else, with exceptions, but typically with an untempered, uncultivated nafs and ego, actually is more of a sign, it's more like a mirror. You can only recognize it because it's in you. So a person should feel ashamed of those things. So now he goes into the definition of ghiba. These definitions are really important. We need to almost memorize them so that we're able to call them to mind if we find ourselves to wait upon these scales. These definitions are an inheritance of the prophetic tradition. It's not just something Imam Ghazali thought, might as well just write a few things down. This was inherited. حد الغيبة أن تذكر أخاك بما يكره ولو بلغ في بدنه أو نسبه أو خلقه أو خلقه أو فعله أو قوله أو دينه أو دنياه. So the definition of ghiba is to mention to your brother or sister. When they mention brother, it's just in terms of it's a general. It's not gender based. It doesn't mean that you can backbite the sisters. To mention another Muslim, your brother, بما يكره لو بلغه. Simple, really simple. It's to mention someone else in that which they would dislike were they to have heard you say it. They would dislike it. So it's like, I didn't mean any harm by it. Yeah, but they were offended. They were hurt. They disliked it. They're okay with it. They don't really mind. They know me. We're mates. We're friends. Do they not like it? خلاص. في بدنه, in terms of one's body. Yeah, they're getting a bit, putting on some weight, or they're looking really skinny, or would they like to hear that? It doesn't matter, it's not that big a deal. No, that's your excuse for your nafs for ghiba. Would they like to hear it or not? That's the question. You've got to take it seriously. This is deen. Oh, nasabe, or one's lineage. Someone might say, well, that's just something nobody really cares about their lineage now. It's just like racism. Isn't that kind of a similar thing? If somebody's going to say some kind of racial slur, they don't mind, we're mates, really. Do they not like it? Okay. If they don't like it and you carry on doing it, it's ghiba, it's backbiting. The kaba'ir. Yeah. Or just one's form. start just talking about someone's nose or eyes or teeth or hair or something like this. They walk a bit funny or something like this. Or one's character, not just form. Yeah, they don't really know what they're doing. They're a bit all over the place. Ghiba. Yeah, they're not really. They've kind of lost the plot for a point. Like, ghiba. It's how easy it is to creep into language. Yeah, I never really see them anymore. They don't really. I don't know. Maybe they're okay. Allah guide them. Ghiba. That person would be hurt. So you're mentioning about them. You're saying you're not living up to a particular standard. Oh, fi'lan, it's something that they've done. Yeah, I don't really know why they did that. Okay, who cares if you did or you didn't know? Why are you mentioning it? Why are you verbalizing it? I don't really know why. I mean, like, okay, so what? There's many things you don't know. But why are you mentioning about that person? Ghiba. Aw qawli, something that they've said. They said this, this is what they were saying, but aw dinihi aw dunya, or their deen or their dunya. Basically, everything. You want the summary? You mention anything about a person that they would dislike, and it doesn't mean severely dislike, that they'd be in tears or go through deep trauma because they heard. Just that's not something they would like to hear in their heart. حتى ثوبه أو داره ودابته. Even their thobe, so their garment, their clothes. What were they wearing that time? I mean, like, what was that? Like, what was she wearing? Why was she doing this? أو داره, or their home, their house. أو دابته, which actually means one's riding beast. The wheels, the car. Why are they still going to run in that thing? Like, yeah, that car's a bit of a banger. I mean, like, okay. قال صلى الله عليه وآله وصحبه وسلم هل تدرون ما الغيبة? Do you know what ghiba is? Do you know what backbiting is? قالوا الله ورسوله أعلم. Adab. Allah and His Messenger know best. That was the way of the Sahaba. You define for us, Ya Rasulullah. We may have an understanding, but we want to hear from you. قال ذكرك أخاك بما يكره. Mentioning your brother in that which they dislike. Something that they would dislike, were they to hear it. Look at the response of the Sahaba. قيل أرأيت إن كان في أخي ما أقول. And they're not saying, well, I kind of have some leniency, some leeway. They're saying, I want to deepen my knowledge of this because I want to rid myself of these things. What about, Ya Rasulullah, if what I said about him was true? Like, they are that which I'm saying. I'm not lying. The Prophet ﷺ replied, إن كان فيه ما تقول فقد أخطبته. If you say about them that which is true, that it's in them, it's real, what you've mentioned. They do have that. That's ghiba. And if you don't, it's scandal. It's even worse. It's like spreading lies and backbiting combined into one. It's one of the most, it's an atrocious act as a Muslim. Buhtan, like a lie, like a scandal. Ya'udhu billah. والإشارة والإيماء والغمز والهمز والكتابة والحركة كل ما يفهم المقصود داخل في الغيبة فهو حرام. A subtle like sign or an allusion or a hint, or some kind of symbolism, some kind of movement or writing. Everything which is considered ghiba is haram. Haram. Not kind of, not that preferable. Haram. So for example, a sign, something like, you don't see them. Ghiba, haram. Just you do all these signs like, you know, whatever you're doing, you know, ghiba. No, but I didn't say anything, like, it doesn't matter. Even just the look of the eye, just, because what you're saying, oh, here we go again, what are they? Why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? Be really careful with these things. La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And he also gives loads of examples. Because Imam Ghazali is someone that really thought about these things. So because it's bad to backbite anyway, and a lot of the time people are backbiting. He says, وَمِنَ الْغِيبَةِ, other aspects of ghiba, examples of backbiting. بَعْضَ مَنْ مَرَّ بِنَا الْيَوْمِ, some of those people that went by us today. Okay, you're not mentioning the name. Or بَعْضَ مَنْ رَأَيْنَا, some of the, you know those people that we saw today, this, that, and the other. إذا كان المخاطب يفهم شخصا معينا فإذا لم يفهم عين جاز. If a person understands who you're talking about, but I didn't mention the name, it's not ghiba, it's not backbiting, but if the person you're speaking to understands specifically who you're speaking about, then it's ghiba. If it's not, it's permissible, it's merely permissible, jaz, permissible. But we've got to understand, is there a purpose to what we're saying? A lot of this, all of these things come down to really kind of, you know, positive speech, healthy speech. Is this good? Is this helping the world, yourself, your soul, or not? Or is it just negative? You know? And while I can look into the subtle technicalities of whether it's a ghiba or not, and you're looking for loopholes with Allah. وَلَيْسَ دِينَ اللَّهِ بِالْحِيَالِ. Imam al-Haddad says, the deen isn't about loopholes, you know. So what are the instigating calls, factors towards backbiting? What causes a person to fall into speaking ill about other people? Imam Ghazali gives us a nice long list. One of them, the first, is just to kind of satisfy your anger. Someone runs you off the road. They can't hear you, they've already gone away in the car. Or they don't put their indicators wrong. Because there's something that's sort of therapeutic, just to see, you know, interesting, a lot of therapy seems to be, there's a lot of backbiting. So-called therapy, Allah. إذا هاج غضبه. So he says, so hatred or anger are two really great big components that cause a person to backbite. Says another one, number 2, is just to kind of like be at one with the lads. People are speaking. It's just like, yeah, I know, yeah, he's like that, yeah. You know, just you don't be seen as weird with your mates. You know, لِسْتَثْقَلُوهُمْ. If you know, were to say, you know, we shouldn't be doing this, we shouldn't be backbiting. Is it, how's this like? Killjoy, party pooper, come to like spoil the fun. you know. So he just helps them in the whole process. And he sees this is like, no, this is being a good companion. This is like what friendship's all about. I don't want to be too heavy with people, too harsh. Nothing wrong with a bit of jokes. Some jokes. Number 3, that you think that somebody is going to attack you. They're going to diss you. So let's get to them first. You know, the early bird catches the worm. Let's just ruin them first and like just. Another one is that you're worried you're going to get accused of something and you want to claim your innocence. So you mention the person that's actually going to, you know, the one that is attacking, or the one that is calling you out. Or, yeah, but this person they did the same as me. You know, it's a protection for the nafs. Look, all of these things are all to do with like, I need to keep my nafs polished. No one can come to my nafs. Wait a minute, I'm nearly under attack. Well, they did it too. You see with kids sometimes. Why did you take the sweets? Why did you take the candy? Why did you? Like, well, he did it too, my brother did it too, and my sister did it too. But adults do the same thing. Yeah. Why did you launder that money? Why did it? Well, you know, everyone else is doing it. He did it too. It's kind of like I'm the same as everyone else, but it's a form of backbiting. Another one is to do this kind of really pernicious kind of sense of false pretense and seeing oneself as putting oneself on top of people, seeing yourself as greater, from arrogance, really. Yeah. So you say, you know, this person, like, they're a bit feeble in their understanding of things. They don't really get things. وَكَلَامُهُ ضَعِيفٌ. You know, your speech is a bit weak. They don't really know what they're saying. But what you're saying is like, I'm better than that person. لِيُثْبِتَ فَضْلَ نَفْسِهِ. To really affirm the greatness of his own self. You know, because what you're saying is they're like this, but you should speak about me, really. And also, it's really cruel. I mean, all of these diseases of the heart, if we look at them, they're really cruel. أو يحضر أن يعظم كتعظيم. People like, no, you don't want to revere this, but you don't want to big this person up like you're doing me. Like, no, don't. Attention over here. You know, the spotlight's on me. Don't look to him. Don't look to her. Don't. The 6th, just pure envy. Hasad. La ilaha illallah. So, if you see someone of your, aqran, somebody that's kind of doing what you're doing, or on the same path, or on, like we said before, like if you're an artist, you're not going to envy a politician. If you're a businessman, you're not going to envy, I don't know, a singer. But get 2 businessmen in the same room, maybe they trade in the same thing. Maybe one gets a bit more. How does the other one perceive that? Maybe amongst artists. And what's even worse, when you see other people praising them. What? Are we praising them? So you make it as a means, and qadah fi, you really can. No, but did you know this about him? Like, did you know they're really this? They're actually not that. You know, they just, you know, it was all inherited money. It was all this. It was, you know, they kind of copied. It was plagiarized. It was all these things. Because this is the absolute essence of just pure envy. Nothing else. Don't think anything else. It's just pure disease of your own soul. He says, number 7. We're taking note. الهزل والمطايبة يذكر العيوب بما يضحك الناس. Just mention just to make people laugh, just for jokes. But Imam Ghazali, he says that if you look deeper, the impetus for this is actually a subtle arrogance and conceit. Really important. Often, what we would say colloquially in a contemporary context, in a modern cosmopolitan kind of, what's considered arrogance is not necessarily what Imam Ghazali is saying is arrogance. So somebody they have all the kind of veneer of a humble person, but they actually have traits which, in accordance to the prophetic model, are deemed arrogant. So somebody who's just a nice guy, just like makes jokes and stuff. No. But there's something deep down that's actually saying you actually think you're better than other people, or you're conceited. Because somebody that's truly humbled would not make those kind of remarks. He says, number 8, last but not least, he says, السخرية والاستهزاء, just mockery. It's just to mock someone. This is, you know, it'd be a very cruel thing to do, but people do this, you know. Just to mock a group of peoples, or, you know, there are people speaking about Muslims a lot. It's just pure backbiting. So those are 8 which are for just the kind of, you know, the general populace, you could say. You know, that's typically what affects most people. And then he mentions there are those which pertain particularly to, let's say, the religious elite, people of learning. You know, and they may be good, genuine, sincere people, but because of that, you know, training that they've gone under, or the circles which they find themselves in, the disease comes in through different avenues, which maybe like the average guy in the street, he's not going to find an issue with. So, and Imam al-Ghazali, once again, we should emphasize, the Ihya Ulumuddin was primarily for those people. You know, it's accessible to all, but primarily his target was to kind of really bring the people of knowledge back to real knowledge and root their knowledge, you know. Because it's not a simple, it's not like a pamphlet. It's a hefty book. It's something that typically someone would have to go in and study. And even this one chapter, it's a portion of a portion of a portion of the Ihya, then abridged, and we're abbreviating it more. He goes into intense, you know, extensive detail. So it's like saying, like, you know, so surprised when I saw such and such a person, you know. And the person might be genuine in their surprise, but you didn't have to mention the name. I couldn't believe, you know, Brother Ahmed was in that particular place. Astaghfirullah. You know, I thought, okay, I'm sorry to all the Ahmeds out there, it was just, maybe we should think of it. Brother Fulan, he's always getting it. Do you have that in Swedish? Have like John Smith or Joe Bloggs? No? Sven. You don't use Sven. You know, like an average guy name, just like, you know. Just a person that always gets the stick, you know, he always gets it. Anyway, it's just like it, you know. Anyway, you know, for someone to say this, you know, there was no need to mention their name, you know. And even Imam Ghazali said, a person may be genuinely surprised, you know, subhanAllah, I thought better of that. Just say, you know, I saw someone today and, you know, they're in a really difficult state. I don't want to judge them, but like, you know, just make dua for them. Who is it? I don't want to say, Just make dua. Alhamdulillah, there's no problem in that. The fact that you've mentioned the person by name is backbiting. So just out of shock. Second one, the source of it might be pure rahmah, compassion. Miskeen, fulan, qad ghammani amruhu, ma ubtuliya bih. Like, I'm really sad to see such and such a person, It's really saddened me to see, Joe Bloggs in such a state, John Smith in such a bad way. Okay, subhanAllah, I saw someone that I knew, it really made me sad. They were in a really difficult way. Who is it? Because people will try and it's the nature of the nafs. Who is it? Tell us. Make ghiba, backbite. And you also need to be aware. No, I'd rather not say. But just make dua for them. There's no harm in that. That's a good thing. Alhamdulillah. Because it's you instigate a dua for that person. So you could say it without mentioning the person's name. Another one could be a genuine to be angry for the sake of Allah. How could someone do this? With no shame, with just, okay, that's good, that's not a bad thing. It's a sign of iman. But to mention the person's name, how could this person do this? There's no need to mention the person specifically. وَكَانَ الْوَاجِبُ الْأَمْرُ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَالنَّهْيِ عَنِ الْمُنكَرِ. The obligation of this person in this particular, office is to command to good and, rebuke that which is evil. But you don't have to mention the person's name. He says these things are really, really subtle. And even amongst the ulama, they can take place. فَضْلًا عَنِ الْعَوَامِ. Not to say these aren't present with the average guy in the street. It can happen as well. And I think particularly if a person is getting more into their deen, you have to be aware that the shaitan is closer to you. You've got to be cautious of these things. Because the things when a person's not really necessarily active, yet in a process of approach to their deen, it may not just be something which causes you to, it may not be a problem, but just to be cautious of these things. Okay. Now for the cure. Once again, Imam al-Ghazali, تعالج المساوي بمعجون العلم والعمل. You need to cure and heal these defects with an accurate conceptualization, understanding these things, and amal. My eldest son, on the way here, said, "What are you speaking about today?" I said, "Backbiting." He said, "But it's wrong to backbite." And whilst it's a beautiful, innocent, of course, naam, it's wrong to backbite. But one of the reasons why many people fall into backbiting is maybe they're just not fully aware that what they're doing is backbiting. If you don't have the knowledge, if you don't have the conceptualization that, wait a minute, if someone said you're backbiting, so many people in many circumstances, they'd be like, no, I'm not backbiting. Backbiting is just like it's just like maybe one of those things. But this is why knowledge of these things, knowledge of backbiting, knowledge of all of these ailments is a really important component to the remedy. If you have an accurate prescription, then you're gonna, the healing is gonna come very soon, inshallah. So it's knowledge, but really just a deep conceptualization of what it is. Well, amal and applied practice, got to do the work. And he says the way to stop your tongue from backbiting is from two aspects. It has like almost like a general approach, and there's a detailed approach. He says, as for a general incentive not to backbite, a general thing just to kind of meditate upon, فَهُوَ أَنْ يَعْلَمْ تَعَرَّضُهُ لِسَخَطِ اللَّهِ, to know that you are literally actively exposing yourself to the divine wrath. No matter how it's done, no matter the intricacies, no matter the loopholes, no matter who it is, if you're backbiting, be mindful. Bring to heart, I'm currently now completely exposing myself to the elements of the divine wrath. وَلِيَعْذُ بِاللَّهِ. وَإِنَّهَا مُحْبِطَةٌ لِحَسَنَاتِهِ. And he's completely destroying all of his good deeds. So all of your hasanat, all of those things that, good things that you've done for the deen, when you've really strived hard, when you worked hard that Ramadan, when you prayed those extra prayers, when you smiled at someone with a righteous intention, when you followed that sunnah, when you tried to do away with, the temper tantrum, when you tried to be more polite and courteous, you just thrown it down the drain. Why? What a waste. What a waste. A'udhu billah. As we mentioned at the beginning, وَأَنَّهُ مُشَبَّهٌ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ بِآكِلِ الْمَيْتَةِ. And that in the sight of God now, you're resembled as a person eating dead flesh. Someone's like, yeah, I'm the man. Praising oneself inadvertently, looking down on other people, thinking that you've reached somewhere in the deen, but the way Allah sees you is in this foul and lowly state. وَلِيَعْذُ بِاللَّهِ. And then he says also, another part of the cure is to really meditate, to actively contemplate. Take some time out to think, okay, in that time that I was backbiting that person, I've actively chosen to busy myself, and distract myself from rebuking my own self, my own ego, from working on my own. I've just slipped off the track. It's a complete waste of time, and it's come right back in my face. What would have been more effective, more positive, was to actually take that courage and look towards the discrepancies within my own soul. And to know that if you're straight up dissing someone's appearance, what you're actually doing is a disrespect for the creator, of the one that created, of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why is their nose like this? Take it up with Allah. Why is their hair like this? Take it up with Allah. And this is the real roots of these things. It's like a dislodging, a severing from that rootedness. That you don't see things, it's all from Allah. And you're so locked in the linear, you're so locked in the world of creation, you've forgotten the imperative of your adab and your behavior before Allah. And then he says, and if a person busies themselves with their own fault and they actually can't find any faults, oh, it sounds like me, which is, let's face it, super rare. I mean, you got to worry at that stage. Well, alhamdulillah, at least I don't have any faults. At least I don't have any ailments. But genuinely, if a person looks and they can't find anything, then show gratitude to Allah, because Allah could have. Allah was the one that protected you. Allah was the one that kept you safe. وَلَا يُلَوِّثَنَّ نَفْسَهُ بِأَعْظَمِ الْعُيُوبِ وَهُوَ ثَلْبُ النَّاسِ. And don't soil yourself with the greatest of sins, of transgressions, You know, one of the most catastrophic movements away from the divine light, from the divine presence, from a relationship with Allah. If you really want to ruin things between you and Allah, backbite. You know? So even if you think you're in the best state, why completely soil that relationship, that connection? You know, by doing the greatest of sins, which is backbiting. And were he to be truly, you know, attentive to his own soul, you know, he'd know that thinking that you're free of all sin is actually one of the biggest forms of defects in the soul. So you think, wait a minute, actually, I don't have any ailments. Well, start with that one, the fact that you think you haven't got anything wrong with you. You know. And what it doesn't mean is, you know, that we're kind of, you know, I'm useless, I have nothing. No, it's keep it real with yourself. Keep it real. Look, this is a process of refinement. And the door is always open. That's why there's a hope in this process. And it's not just to be a perfect product. You know, you're not a product. You know, irrespective of what society tells you or causes you to believe. You're not a product. Allah was the one that made you. You were formed and fashioned and designed and cultivated by Allah. And the door of Tawbah is open. So we're in this process. If we find these things which, you know, maybe I've fallen into all of these categories, okay, then at least we know. This knowledge is an awakening. It's an opportunity to say, you know, I need to really get to work with these things. It's not to say, I've got all of these, I might as well just hide my head under the covers and go to bed for the rest of my life because, you know, it's not worth living. La. You know. One of the greatest gifts is to learn and having Allah to give you an intuition into the ailments and defects within your own soul. Because Allah's only done that, you know, in the hope that you face the facts, cleanse, purify, rectify, and ascend. And come back to good health. You don't go to a doctor and they say, well, you've got this wrong with you. You're like, well, why are you being harsh to me? Why are you being cruel? Why couldn't you just say I'm all healthy? Why would you go to a doctor? You go to a doctor, I'm not feeling well. I don't feel that good. Spiritually, I don't feel presence in my prayer. You know, how much of the time people want, you know, can you just give me 3 points to be present in the prayer? That will work on Instagram, you know. Well, stop backbiting. That's the reality of the tradition. That's why it took people decades to learn this tradition. Because you've got to go into it, really. You want to be present with Allah and you speaking about people all the time. You just want a quick fix. I want to feel good in the prayer. I want to feel good in, you know, whatever I do. The deen is not a process for your own self-gratification. You know, what a blessing just to exist. What a blessing to have communication. What a blessing to be offered the prayer. And then Allah rewards us, despite of all of our discrepancies. You know. It's not about time that we thank Allah in a good way, in a real way. It's not just saying Alhamdulillah. That's one way of thanking. But it's to use that which you've been given in devotion to Allah. From the meanings of shukr, real gratitude. All of those faculties and gifts and openings and insights, that intelligence, that intellect, that physical ability, that capacity to communicate, it was a gift from Allah. And true gratitude is to recognize the one that gave it and to use those things for that which it was given for. Subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then he goes through all of the 8 ones and just, we don't necessarily have the full, we just wanted to give a taster of something. Up this chapter, he goes through all the different bawa'ith, instigating factors, and picks them apart. But you know, if one reflects on those, just you know, things like hasad. Okay, if you find you're just a hater, which means like you're full of envy and all these diseases. It's not a very pleasant self-diagnosis. You know, so the way to get rid of that is to flip it, praise the person. You know, not just to their face, but to other people. You know, you should see this person. They're really, mashallah, an amazing politician. You know, or an amazing artist, or an amazing scholar, or an amazing whatever. Yeah, they don't really quote things properly. They always stumble when they speak. They didn't really focus that much in their knowledge. Yeah, they're good. They do dawah. That's a general thing. It's nice, but you know, when it comes to hadith, maybe you find these in the circles. Why not just love the person? Alhamdulillah, that we're on the same team. Ya Latif. When are we going to wake up and smell the coffee? We're on the same team. Like, you're just knowing that we need each other. You know, it's not about like, no, but I want to be seen as like, Allah's got enough rahmah for everyone. If you're looking for dunyawi recognition, it is dog eat dog. So don't behave like a dog. You want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, behave like a human being. Behave like an insan. That uns, that intimacy which Allah has, you know, opened up for people to be close to Him, it goes to everyone. And we can learn. That's the nature. If a person wants to ascend spiritually, you got to bring people up with you. Ar-rafiq qabla tariq. The friend before the path. You got to bring people up. It's not, no, I'm on a mission anyway. Leave you guys, you know. Yeah. Got to be gentle with people. We've got to encourage people. Got to be positive. That's the deen. Else none of us would be Muslim. When the Prophet ﷺ, if that was the way to do things, when the Prophet ﷺ, you know, it was revealed to him, Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq. Okay, well, I've got the message. That wasn't his way. What was the first thing he did? He went to go and convey. Come with me. This is what I've received. Come with me. You know, I know what's good for you. Even those people that hated on him and showed him enmity, stretch out the hand. That's the way of the believer. That's what Allah loves. That's what Allah wants for all of us. You know, what a sad existence to have a tongue and a heart which is just cultivated with backbiting and hating and envy and a'udhu billah, mahroom. Mahroom. You are veiling your own self from all of that beauty which Allah has to give. What a miskeen. A'udhu billah. A'udhu billah min ghadabillah. What a waste of life, really. You know, thanks, you know what I mean, for your contribution to the world. All you did was hate. SubhanAllah. A'udhu billah. Then he talks about the excuses for backbiting, that which is a legitimized dispensation. So it's not like, oh great, well, let's go through those. Yeah, that was a good opportunity. What are they? And I'm actually not going to go into them. You know, very simply, it's about warning another Muslim. Okay, but for a genuine reason. And the rest of them are to do really with kind of more like legalistic, like if you're a judge in a court, you're going to have to say like, so what did he do to you? Who? What? Nobody did anything to me. Okay, like how are we going to figure the case out? In that context, in a legal situation, there are obviously dispensations in this regard. Or if you're speaking to a mufti and, you know, but he says even in the context of a mufti, you know, my husband did this to me, what do I do? My wife did this to me, what do I do? This person, his name is da-da-da, did this. What's better is called ta'reed, to veer towards like anonymity. You know, make the person anonymous. A person did this to me. This person from this place that wears this, that looks like this, I've got the picture, I've got their details, they did this to me. All of those things are like, it's the nafs. Islam gives a person their haqq, that's why we have this. It gives them their right. Not saying, no, you should be pleased that you're just oppressed. But don't outside the balance. Don't oppress someone else just because you've been oppressed. The prophetic way is put things in balance. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Some others, however, I think it's more important, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, to look at those things currently, that which expediates, wipes out ghiba. Okay. Slip of the tongue, somebody said something, how do I wipe it out? It says, Al-wajib al-mughtab an yandam wa yata'assaf. What is an obligation of the person that's just, you know, had some kind of backbiting episode, some kind of meltdown of the tongue, to feel regret and sorrow. Nedam is a form of regret. You know, really important thing when you talk about regret and guilt and all these kind of things, because a lot of it's related to accountability and who you're accountable for. You know, and don't give the nafs excuse. Well, you know, they deserve it anyway. They do the same to me. I know you are. You said you are. So what am I? Okay, it's time to grow up. Time to get out of the playground and with the adults. You know. So you know, I shouldn't have behaved in that way. So empowering, subhanallah, the deen in that regard, because you know Allah knows the truth about you, and all you've got to do is admit it to yourself and admit it back to Allah. Okay, and Allah will forgive you if those conditions are met. So to feel that kind of regretfulness and sorrow, you know, stuff all out, that wasn't nice. I shouldn't have done that. What was the meaning behind that? That wasn't a good thing to do. And he says you've got to be careful in this, that if you know, you kind of like, you know, hypocritically displaying your sorrow, I'm so sorry, but in your heart you're actually not really. The source is the heart, you know. Khalid Mujahid, you know, the great early Salaf, he said the expediation for, they say it straight, for eating the flesh of your brother. They don't even call it backbiting. That's the way the people of Allah will often refer to. If you want to know how to wipe that out of your scroll, for eating the flesh of your brother, and tuthni alayh wa an tad'u lahu bil khair, to openly praise him, not in a sycophantic way, in a real way. You know what? Actually, mashallah, you've got this. You know, and to pray for them. That gets rid of all of envy as well. You know, if you feel like an envy towards someone, really make an effort for them, not just like Allah guide him. Anyway, you know, get up in the night, devote your prayers to that person. Allah, please give them that which is even greater. You know, increase them, and you know, realign to the one that you should be focused upon. Some of them would say it's actually to go to the person, you know, I actually like, spoke bad about you. You know. And the scholars, they say, if it's not like in a public thing. So for example, if someone does it on social media, if somebody has openly said something bad about a person, and it's ghiba, it's backbiting, you know, and it's spread everywhere, in that context, then it may be appropriate to make a public apology and say, you know what I did was wrong. In fact, this person is this. May Allah bless them, increase them, and I was wrong. But if the person doesn't know, and you know all it's going to do is like, wait a minute, I didn't know you thought that way about me, or you said this about me, it's going to ruin the relationship. What you do is you really work on that between you and Allah, asking for forgiveness, you know, because you don't want to harm the relationship, you know. But you leave that and you make it, don't make it as an excuse, not a get out clause to carry on backbiting, but just, okay. You know, and there are general things like giving sadaqah on their behalf. You need to feel the pinch. It's just easy to kind of, whatever. You know, one time a king came up to one of the scholars, said like, what's the ruling for somebody that like, you know, has intimacy with their wife during Ramadan? You know, he says to fast for 2 months straight. They're like, but what about the expediation? And he said, well, he's the king. He's got all the money in the world. He's gonna. You're going to give him that ruling, he's going to be, okay, well, you know, keep on going. But 2 months straight fasting, the king, you got your banquet there, you got everything you want, wow. You know. So the nature of the sharia, whenever something opens up a situation, then it becomes more channeled. And when a situation becomes very difficult, then the sharia broadens. It's fluid, it's organic, it's incredible. From Rabbil Alameen, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wallahu a'lam. Allah give us tawfiq. What an amazing opportunity. This Ramadan, a month where du'as are accepted, a month where you know, it's because of fasting, it's harder to speak. It's hard to, you have to conserve one's energy, you have to be economical with one's energy. You know, people do a lot more grunting. during Ramadan, rather than actually speaking. So why be fueled with all of those things? Why waste one's energy? One's physical energy, one's spiritual energy. There's absolutely no need whatsoever. And this is the purpose of the deen. This course is entitled "The Secrets of Speech," part of the secrets of that beauty within the human soul, which can be unlocked by virtue of a person going through this endeavor. If we work upon our hearts during this Ramadan, can you imagine the openings that we'll get for the remainder of our lives? We have hope in Allah. We've got to go through all of these endless lists of what we shouldn't be doing. But ultimately, if we go through if we review them just quickly, all of these things, we know they're unhealthy. They're things that need to be weeded out anyway. It's not good to backbite people. It's not good to speak in a foul way to people. And this is the teachings of the Prophet ﷺ, which brings us into balance and into harmony. This is what we've all signed up for. The Prophet ﷺ never fell short in conveying these realities. So may Allah give us success to achieve these great things. If we're able to come out once again of this Ramadan and we've implemented these things with sincerity, there's going to be the seeds, once again, that you plant during the Ramadan are not the same as seeds which are planted in other times of the year. The nature of the spiritual atmosphere within this blessed time, the rains, the unseen rains which take place in this blessed time, are going to have a profound effect. قُلْ إِن كُنْتُمْ تُحِبُّونَ اللَّهَ فَاتَّبِعُونِي. Say, if you truly love Allah, then follow me, follow the Messenger of Allah. يُحْبِبُكُمْ Allah. Allah will love you. So may the way that we speak be something which is dear and beloved to Allah, and something which is free and weeded out of any discrepancies and ailments and defects, and to have unlocked for us a deeper communication back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we can really relish when we read the Quran and we listen to the words of the Salihin, we learn to listen far, far better, and we don't ruin our souls by that which we speak. May Allah give us tawfiq. May Allah allow us to have tongues which are always positive. That's the thing. This is the meaning of negativity. We don't want to be negative people. Backbiting is just purely negative. We want to be positive people. And there was no one that was more authentically and truly positive than the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. May Allah grant us a connection to him in this life and the next, and allow us to follow it in his way, in the way that we speak and in everything that we do, and in the states and the realities of our souls. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.